Hello there everybody, Sam's Trains here and welcome back to the railway. And recently I've hit you with a lot of reviews, so I thought today once again would be one of those videos where I just try and do something a little bit different. And since Christmas I've bought quite a few bits of rolling stock, a few rakes of coaches and you know, some freight. So I thought I would just really have a bit of a casual show and tell, have a chat about some of it, and of course at the end get some of it, well, I'm going to get it all running so that you can enjoy a little bit of action on the rails. So yeah, it's just going to be a little bit of a show and tell. So the first lot I'm going to show you is freight, and this is one lot that I bought together, and I did actually show it already. I can't remember in which video, but I showed it not too long ago. But I got, let's see here, I think there's 7. Yes, there's 7, and they're all, you know, they're pretty nice pieces. I'll show you what we've got here. First one's a bit rough. This one's an Arnold Sands wagon. Let's see, Leighton Buzzard 10-ton wagon. But somebody's added some load to it like that, and there's some glue marks on it. So I think the plan with this one is just to put some stones in, perhaps like the others, and sort of cover that up a bit because it's not a particularly heavy load in there, but still not a bad one. And this one is a Lima. Yes, it's a Lima wagon with some spare rails on it, and the cool thing about these is you can actually take the rails out, and I've never actually had anything like that before, which is quite cool. But it's on sort of like an articulated flat wagon, metal wheels as you can see, with you know, bogies, which is really nice. And yeah, I thought that looked pretty cool, so I'll have to get that running a bit more. I've had this, you know, I've had this lot for a little while now, so you will see some of this stuff cropping up a little bit. This one was the one I really bought it for, because it's one of the Hornby Great Western brake bands. This one's Gloucester, as you can see on there. And this whole lot cost me about £10, and I think this is probably worth 5 at least. You know, it's quite a modern one with metal wheels and really quite nicely detailed. And of course I didn't have a Great Western Guards van, so that's a really nice thing to do. This one was the Crisp Snacks and Nuts. It's a bit yellow actually, but you know, it's one that I wanted to get. I've got quite a big rake of these already, so I thought I'd add this to it. This one's fine, it's just got a painted roof in a slightly different colour, but that's alright. And it's the same story with this one really. This is one of the Prime Pork wagons. Again, I've got loads of them, but you know, this is just another one to add to the rake, and I'll never say no to that because that's cool, so that was alright. This one is one that I hadn't got before. It says Black Park Colliery. What's that? Near Chirk, whatever that means. Yeah, this one's another Lima one. This one's only got plastic wheels, but again, it's a nicely detailed wagon, and we'll be seeing a bit more of Lima stuff in a minute or two. So yep, that one's nice. This one's another Hornby one, and it's very typical of what you get in a train set. I've got one like this, but it's yellow. I don't know if I've got it to hand. Yes, hang on. It's very similar to this one. I reckon it is the same, in fact, the same moulding. It's got the same sort of undercarriage, but of course this one's painted up a lot nicer, and it looks a bit more realistic than the yellow one. But so yeah, that's another nice wagon, metal wheels of course. And it's a nice addition. So yeah, I was pleased with that lot. It was a good bargain, I thought, and I thought, well, it might be nice to update my freight collection. So that's cool. I was really pleased with those, and they all run just fine, as you will have seen a few weeks ago when I showed them. So cool. Yeah, that was the first thing I bought. Next up, I've got some really interesting things, and some of you out there might know more about them than I will. But these are tin models. And I believe they're German, but I'm not too sure. This one, we'll start with this one. It's basically it's a fuel tanker, isn't it? With some SO. There's SO and there's a few different, you know, there's a few different badges on there, but it's pretty cool. All made of tin. I forget what brand it is. I think the brand is on the back. Yes, Marklin. There you go. Made in Germany. Now. I'll tell you about what I've done to these, but I'll show you this one first. This one's another Marklin one. It says on the end there. This one did have a light in it, but it doesn't work or anything. And as you can see, it's number 342, Spies Wagon. I don't know, I'm not sure how you pronounce it, but they're really cool, and I'd never seen them before. So a friend of mine actually gave them to me from Germany. So a big thanks to him. He doesn't want to be mentioned, but that's cool. But the thing is, let me show you what happened with these. is they were running on these wheels, which are great, you know, metal wheels, but unfortunately they weren't insulated from each other, so the left wheel is live with the right wheel, so if you put them on the track and apply power, they cause a short. So the way these must have worked, well, the train system that these were designed for must have been a bit like Hornby Dublo, you know, where you would have a centre rail to deliver one terminal, and then both of the tracks actually deliver the other one. But it meant that the wheels had to be changed, but of course these wheels, you know, the axles, well, the axle boxes are really far apart, so you couldn't just slip in a new set of wheels. So what I actually did was I made my own axle boxes, just out of plastic really, some cheap plastic, made some holes in it, and just slotted the wheels in. And as you can see, they're not quite as smooth as they might be on bearings, but they now will run, and I've just put some plastic Hornby wheels in there with the white rims, and they now will run, you know, on modern track without causing a short, of course, being plastic. And the same with this one, I put my own bearings in, and as you can see they run really nicely. These are some of the bespoke wheels, and I also added a coupling there so I can put it onto a locomotive. But these couplings are really cool. I mean, look at this. I don't know what, it's almost like a knuckle coupler. But you can couple it either way, so it can go in that way too. And they're really good, you know, they don't seem to come apart, they're spring loaded. As you can see there, it stays coupled. So yeah, we'll get these two running on their own at some point. There is quite a bit of drag with them, but they do run quite nicely, so yes, we'll get that running too at some point. Alright, well that's all I've got for the freight. Let's look at some of the coaches. Alright, so these were the first coaches I bought. I'll show you them properly in a second. And as you can see, these are Caledonian coaches, but they're sort of ex-Caledonian, I believe. I think that's the right term, because they're converted to LMS. Now, I bought these on eBay, and stupidly, I didn't realise that they were, all three of them were guards vans. As you can see, they're all guards, which aren't too bad. And originally the plan was just, you know, I don't really mind. They do look quite nice together. Put a couple of them together. Doesn't look too bad, so even though they're all guards vans, it's still quite a nice little rake. And of course I got them for a bargain price. But then I was walking around one of our local model shops, and I happened upon this one for another good price, but it's not got the metal wheels, but I'm not too bothered about that. And this one is not one of the guards vans. So now at a push I could, you know, not use one and have a rake with sort of a guard at each end and a coach in the middle, or I could just put them all on and have a very heavily braked train. But yeah, I was quite pleased with those, and they are really pretty coaches, and I hadn't got any like them before, so yep, that was an interesting purchase for me. I'll just put these out of the way. And they're Hornby, of course. I forgot to say, well, they're sort of Hornby. Triang as well, some of them say Hornby, that one says Triang. Anyway, onto some more Lima stuff. Here we've got a regular passenger coach, here's a restaurant car, there's a full brake, and there's sort of like a half brake. And they're just a nice little rake of blood and custard coaches. I did show you these again in another video, but I thought I would share these with you. They're really nice Lima coaches, so quite old, but they're really nicely painted, as you can see, and the livery is just beautiful. So yeah, we'll get those running at some point. I can't remember how much I paid. I paid about £25, I believe, for those four. And at some point I'd probably like to get a few more of the regular passenger coaches, because it is a little bit too much with a restaurant, a full brake and a regular brake, just to have just one passenger coach. But you know, I can always add to that at some point. So yep, they're pretty cool. We'll get those running then. And I've got one more rake of passenger coaches to show to you. Just move these. And here they are. These are basically the same coaches, but these are in a sort of brown and cream livery. So that's one of the first class cars. I'll put this to the side because there's a lot of these. Got these for about £50, I think, the whole lot. That's another of the first class corridor coach, and this one is another regular corridor coach, but it's unmarked, so I assume it's not first class. As you can see, there's no number 1 on there, but other than that, I think, unless you can see otherwise, well, they are different actually, aren't they? The doors were a little bit further down, so I assume they're just not first class. And there's 2 of those. There's another one, and then again I've got a bit too much braking power here. There's a full brake there, guards van if you want. Here's a regular brake, and this one's got a load. It says, hang on, load 2¼ tons, evenly distributed, and that one I believe is the same. So yeah, a nice rake of coaches, and I think it was Tom from Tom's Model Trains. He said, you know, it's all very well buying lots of locomotives all the time, which I do, but you need some stuff to run them with, you know. And I always tend to buy locomotives, and I tend to not buy very much rolling stock. So I'm pleased I've done this, because you know, this and the other rakes of coaches and wagons are just, you know, nice additions to make things look a bit more interesting. But yeah, that's all I've bought since Christmas. There's quite a bit of stuff actually, more than I would normally buy. But I thought it would be quite nice to share it with you. So let's start getting some of that freight on the line to start with, and we'll just have a little bit of a running session with all this stuff. So yep, hopefully you'll enjoy it. Alright, so there's that first freight train all set up on the tracks, and I know it's been quite a talky video so far, so I really want to start getting on with some action. So what I've done is, in a siding further up the track, I've got the County of Devon, a lovely Great Western 440 locomotive. She's just sitting up there in a siding, and I'm going to bring her up. She's going to do some shunting to get to these wagons here, and then she'll pull them round and we'll watch them go. So let's apply a little bit of power to the County class loco, and we'll see how she gets on. Good and smooth performance there, as always. Let's slow it down a little bit over these points. There we go. Nicely done. And just reset them. And swap direction and couple to the wagons if we can. Yep. And she should have no trouble pulling those, hopefully. So without further ado, let's change direction again and let's send her off, and I'll let you have a quick look at them going round. But yeah, I'm quite pleased with that. It's a nice rake, and if I mix it up with what I've got already, hopefully it will mean a bit more variety, you know, so that's cool. And of course I can do a bit more Great Western action as well now with that Great Western brake van, which I'm pleased with. Right, I'm going to get this lot out the way then, and then we'll move on to the next couple of bits of rolling stock to show you. So I'll cut it here, and I'll be right back in a second. Alright, and now for the really cool pair of vintage German tin wagons. One of them's a coach, of course, but I've put them together just because they share the same couplings. And pulling them is my new Bachmann Class 08 shunter. Which I bought, well, because basically I want to try and cater a little bit more for the diesel fans out there, so there will be a little bit more diesel action from time to time, despite it being a mainly steam channel here. But as you can see, yeah, a really smart 08 shunter there, and she should have an easy time pulling these lovely tin wagons with the new plastic bearings, of course. Now she's got a very, very high torque gearing system, but it does mean that she doesn't go very quick, so she is going to crawl along really, but that's just fine. So let's give her some juice then, and we'll watch these go around for a little while, shall we? There we go, and that's up to about half speed there, so yes, very nice and slow. And those, you know, those tin wagons, they really do run quite smoothly considering they're just running on plastic axles, and I really do love having some unique and different stuff running from time to time, so that's just the ticket really. I really think they're cool. There we go. Right, I'm going to swap these over then and we'll start getting some of those coaches up and running, shall we? Alright, so the first set of coaches then, the Caledonian Coaches. I have put all 4 of them on, although in future videos I might just keep it down to the one corridor coach or regular passenger coach and 1 brake. But you guys let me know, do you think it's better to do it for realism's sake and just keep it to a couple of coaches? Or should I just add them all on normally, including the 3 brakes, even though it's a little bit unrealistic? I don't know, yeah, you guys let me know. Whatever you think, I'll do. We're back into steam again, and as you can see there's a little double header going on there with a couple of 040s, both of them Caledonian. Well, I think they both are anyway, they're both Scottish at least. And so they're coupled up and they're ready to go, so let's give them a little bit of juice and see how they get on. Here we go. Nice smooth runners as well. And again, I reckon one of these 040s would have pulled all 4, but I thought I'd double head them just for the fun of it. They don't look too bad actually, do they? From an angle like that. But yes, Caledonian Coaches, well, ex-Caledonian, and as I say, there is a reason why I bought them, and that should become apparent in some of the future videos, but yep, that's those. There we go, looking pretty good. As I say, I don't think they're too noticeably nearly all brakes, but you guys will have to let me know if you think it looks bad or not. Alright, well I'll take all this off then, and we'll put, I think all the rest of the coaches on, I'll put on together. Alright, so all those Lima coaches are now out on the line. As you can see, the Class 4P, which I modified not long ago, is pulling the blood and custard ones, and over there an old Triang Princess Royal Loco is pulling the brown and cream ones, all 7 of those, and she's quite a powerful girl and she'll do that nicely. And now before I get these going, I've got a question for all you guys, because I am pretty ignorant when it comes to coaches. Obviously these coaches, blood and custard, we've all heard of them, and they're pretty commonplace, aren't they, on various railways and whatnot. But where might you have actually seen these sorts of coaches running, and when? Because obviously they're not marked with BR or LNER or LMS or anything like that, so were they just BR coaches, or were they all around, but were they just generic coaches which would run on any railway? I've no idea, so if you know where and when these coaches would have been running, please let me know, because that will be interesting to find out. But either way, I'm just going to dash over to the controls. We'll start the 4P going first, I reckon, so let's give her a little bit of juice. There she goes, and we'll follow her in just a second. And now for the Princess Royal, good strong loco. There she goes. Alright, let's watch them go, if you can still hear me. Very powerful engine, that Princess Royal. And of course that 4P manages the coaches just fine, no problem at all there. And I'm really pleased with this big rake. It is nice to have a nice big rake of coaches to run, and they're just going to be perfect, aren't they? And that's quite a nice little neat rake as well, which should be fun. Alright, well that's just about all I've got to show you today, so do keep an eye out for some of this rolling stock, because it's going to be appearing in videos pretty soon. If you did enjoy the video, as always, please feel free to leave a like or even a comment, because I love to hear from you guys. And you can also check out the Facebook and Twitter pages if you'd like to, at facebook.com/samstrains or twitter.com/samstrains. It would be lovely to see you on there. But for now, hope you enjoyed the video. It is a little bit of something different, a bit more laid back today. But anyway, probably another unboxing of some sort next time. So I'll see you all very soon, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.